Feel the quiet ache of separation for a moment. You are not alone in this universe. You are woven into its seamless flow. Today, let us gently dissolve the illusion of being separate, discovering how every breath, every sound is part of the whole. Share with us now. What time is it where you are? What is one small thing you're grateful for in this very moment? Let this simple sharing deepen our connection. As we move into daily life, notice the absence of a separate self. Breathe in, breathe out. Notice how this simple movement happens without any effort to control it, without a separate you directing the air. Your breath flows naturally, part of the ongoing rhythm of life itself. There is no doer, only the happening. This is the natural state of things, a constant reminder that we are not separate from the flow of existence. Now consider the ordinary act of washing your hands. As you turn on the tap, feel the cool water touch your skin. See the soap lather between your fingers. Feel the porcelain sink beneath your palms. Ask yourself gently, are you truly separate from the water, the soap, the sink, or even the very act of washing? Or is this a seamless unfolding where the hand, the water, the awareness, and the sink are all part of one continuous movement? The idea of a separate I doing the washing dissolves in the simplicity of the action itself. This is not about losing yourself, but about realizing you were never truly separate to begin with. It is the dissolution of the illusion of separation that reveals the underlying unity. To truly experience this, try a small practice right now. Take a moment to pour a glass of water. Feel the cool weight of the glass in your hand. Watch the water flow from the tap, clear and steady. Notice the sound it makes as it fills the glass. And as you do this, let go of the thought, I'm pouring the water. Do not force this. Simply allow the action to happen without the internal commentary of the doer. See if the water pouring, the glass in your hand, the movement of your arm, and your awareness can all be part of the same single experience. There is no one doing the pouring, it is simply happening. This is not a mental exercise, it is a return to how things naturally are. The Zen master, when asked about enlightenment, often spoke of washing a bowl with full attention. He would not say, I'm washing the bowl, but simply wash it. The water, the bowl, the movement, the awareness all flowing together without a split. The water was not separate from the bowl from the hand from the mind. Everything was present, whole, and undivided in that moment. This is the essence of non-duality in daily life. It is not found in extraordinary events, but in the quiet, ordinary moments where we stop seeing ourselves as separate from the world and simply experience being part of it. When you wash your hands, when you pour water, when you breathe, you are not separate from the water, the sink, the air, or the very act of living. You are the living itself, flowing through every action. This gentle shift in awareness, this quiet observation of action without a separate self, is where the profound wisdom of the Dharma meets your everyday reality. It is not about becoming something new, but about seeing clearly what has always been true. And as you practice this simple dissolution of self in the ordinary, you begin to feel the deep, unbreakable thread of connection that ties everything together. This dissolution of self in action reveals how everything is interconnected. As you move through your morning, notice how the simple act of brushing your teeth can become a doorway to the present moment. It is not the task itself that changes, but the way you meet it. When you brush without the separate thought of "I am brushing," when the hand, the toothbrush, the water, and the sensation of clean teeth flow together without a barrier, the ordinary becomes sacred. There is no you doing the brushing and the toothbrush being brushed, only the seamless movement of attention meeting the task. This is the heart of non-duality in daily life, the dissolution of separation within the very act of living. Consider the moment you fold a piece of clothing. The fabric meets your hands. The movement of your fingers smoothing the fabric. The quiet space around you as you work. In that instant, there is no separation between your body and the cloth, between your intention and the movement, between the task and the space it occupies. You are not apart from the folding. You are the folding itself, a natural expression of the moment. This is not about forcing concentration, but about allowing the natural unity that already exists to be felt. The water on your face as you wash, the weight of the cup in your hand, the sound of your breath as you walk, these are not distractions from the sacred, but the very fabric of it. The sacred is not hidden in some distant temple, it is here, in the quiet space between your fingers and the object you hold, in the soft connection of your body with the air around you. Reflect now on your own day. What ordinary task feels most deeply connected to your body and the environment around you? Perhaps it is the rhythm of your footsteps on the path, the warmth of sunlight on your skin as you water a plant, or the focused stillness of stirring a pot of soup. Notice the feeling when you are fully present in that moment. Do you feel a sense of ease, a lack of strain, as if you and the task are simply unfolding together? This is the quiet realization that you are not separate from the world you move through. You are part of the movement, part of the flow, part of the life that breathes through everything. Now, take one small, ordinary task you will do today. It might be pouring a glass of water, opening a door, or simply sitting down. As you begin, let your awareness rest gently on the simple connection, the feeling of your hand on the glass, the coolness of the water, the quiet space around you. Feel the space between your hand and the glass, the space between the water and the air, the space where your attention meets the task. Do not think about it, simply feel the connection, the seamless unity of hand, object, and space. There is no me holding the glass, no glass being held. Only the movement of attention meeting the moment as it is. This awareness, this gentle feeling of connection within the ordinary, is the foundation. It is not a special state to be achieved, but the natural state of being when separation dissolves. As you practice this, you will find that the sense of unity deepens, expanding beyond the single task. The very act of walking, the flow of your breath, the movement of your body through the day, all begin to reveal themselves as expressions of a single, undivided movement. This awareness naturally expands to seeing movement as unity in motion. Feel the rhythm of your feet on the path, not as a separate self taking steps, but as the earth itself moving through you. There is no walker apart from the walk, no one walking upon the ground. Each step is a quiet conversation between your body and the earth, a seamless flow where the soles of your feet meet the soil and the earth meets your body, both dissolving into the single movement of being here now. When you stop thinking of yourself as the doer, as the one who walks, you simply are the walking. The ground beneath you is not a surface you traverse. It is the very foundation of your presence, as natural and inseparable as the air you breathe. You are not moving across the earth. You are the earth moving through you. In this very moment. This is not a concept to grasp, but a simple truth felt in the quiet space between breaths. Consider the old monk who walked the same village path every day for decades. One morning, as he stepped onto the sun-warmed stone, he felt a sudden stillness. The stones, the path, his feet, the air, none were separate. He was not walking on the path. He was the path walking through him. He paused, not to observe, but to simply be the movement, the connection. There was no one to feel the connection, only the connection itself. This is the peace that arises when the illusion of separation fades. It is not about achieving a state, but about noticing how the world has always been whole, always connected, right beneath your feet. Now, take this moment. Feel your feet on the floor, or imagine standing on solid earth. Close your eyes if it helps. Notice the subtle pressure, the gentle give, the cool or warm contact. Breathe in. Feel the earth supporting you, not as an object under you, but as the very ground of your being. Let the thought, "I am walking," dissolve. Instead, feel the movement itself, your body shifting, the earth responding, a single flow of energy. There is no effort, no separate self trying to get somewhere. You are simply moving with the earth, as the earth moves through you. This is not an exercise, it is remembering what has always been true. The ground is not separate from you. You are the ground, moving in this moment. The sensation of your foot lifting, the weight settling, It is all one continuous breath of the earth. This quiet realization, this feeling of unity in the simplest motion, is not a fleeting thought. It is the ground beneath all experience, the unchanging nature of reality revealed in the ordinary. It shows us that separation is an illusion we carry, not a truth we live. When we walk without the sense of me walking, the earth becomes our body, the path becomes our breath, and every step is a sacred return to what is already whole. There is no need to reach, to become, to find something outside of this very moment. The unity is already here, in the space between one step and the next. Just as walking reveals unity, so does the simple act of nourishment. When you sip your tea, feel the warmth on your tongue, not as a separate experience, but as the very flow of life moving through you. The connection becomes clear. The tea, the cup, your hand, the earth that grew the leaves, all are one flowing current, no longer separate parts. This is the wisdom of the Dharma, not in grand pronouncements, but in the quiet, ordinary moment where you truly feel yourself as part of the whole. Notice how the earth supports you now, in this step, in this breath, in this simple act of being. As the steam rises from your bowl, notice how the simple act of eating holds the entire world within it. There is no separate self-consuming separate food. Instead, it is a gentle dance where nourishment flows both ways. Your body receiving the earth's gifts, the earth receiving your presence. This is not a thought to grasp, but a quiet truth felt in the softness of a bite. The rice, the vegetables, the water you drink, they are not mere objects on a plate. They are the sun's warmth in the grain, the rain's gentle touch on the soil, the patient labor of countless hands, all coming together in this moment. You are not apart from the meal, you are the meal becoming whole. Consider the wheat in your bread, its golden stalks swaying under the sun, its roots drinking deep from the earth. The carrots in your soup grew where the rain softened the soil, where the wind carried pollen to the flowers. Even the salt on your tongue came from ancient seas, transformed by time and sun. Before you lift your fork, pause. Feel the weight of the bowl, the warmth in your hands, the quiet hum of life that made this meal possible. Not as a list of ingredients, but as a living web, sun, rain, soil, and your own breath, all woven into this simple offering. This is not gratitude as a word, but gratitude as a felt presence, a deep bow to the interconnectedness that feeds you. Imagine a monk at dawn, sitting alone in a small room. He places a single bowl of rice before him. He does not think of eating. He simply is present with the rice, the bowl, the quiet space around him. His hand moves slowly, deliberately, not as a separate action, but as part of the same flow that brought the rice from field to table. There is no me eating, only the gentle movement of nourishment itself. His breath is slow, his eyes soft, his awareness so fully here that even the sound of a single drop of water falling outside feels like part of the meal. This is not perfection, it is simply being. In this stillness, the separation dissolves. The rice is not separate from the earth not separate from the rain not separate from the monk's quiet attention. All are one seamless offering. Now, bring this to your own table. Before you begin, close your eyes for just a breath. Feel the warmth of the food in your hands. Notice the sun that ripened the grains, the rain that softened the earth, the hands that planted and harvested. Feel how your body receives this gift, how your presence becomes part of the nourishment. This is not a ritual to perform, but a natural return to what already is. The earth is in your mouth, the sky in your breath, the entire world in this single bite. This unity in eating points to a deeper truth. All things are interconnected. The stillness you feel while tasting your meal is not confined to the plate. It is the same stillness that moves in your steps as you walk, the same presence that fills the quiet moment of pouring tea. The separation we imagine is an illusion, like mist that vanishes in the morning sun. What remains is the seamless, breathing whole, where eating, walking, and breathing are not separate actions, but one continuous dance of life itself. Imagine the quiet shift as you settle into your breath, not as something you control, but as the very air moving through you, connecting you to the vast, living space around. This is not a distant philosophy, but the simple truth of your own experience. The universe is not out there waiting to be discovered. It is the seamless fabric woven through every moment of your being, the ground from which all perception arises. When we see the world as separate, when we stand apart from the tree, the river, the very air we breathe, we create a subtle but deep division. This separation breeds anxiety, a quiet fear that we are alone, vulnerable, disconnected from the source of our life. It makes the tree a thing to be observed, not a presence sharing the same breath as you. It turns the rain into a weather event, not the sky gently holding you in its embrace. This separation is the root of suffering, the invisible wall we build between ourselves and the world. Consider the raindrop on a leaf. In Zen, we might sit with such a moment, not seeking meaning, but simply noticing. The raindrop is not separate from the leaf not separate from the tree not separate from the earth not separate from the sky. The raindrop is the sky falling, the leaf drinking the earth, the tree breathing the air. There is no thing standing alone. It is all movement, all connection, all one flow. The drop does not think I am separate from the leaf. It simply is part of the whole. This is the natural state of being before thought divides it. Now, bring your attention gently to your breath. Feel the soft inhale, air moving in, cool and fresh, drawn from the same vast sky that holds the clouds. Feel the exhale, warmth returning to the earth. The same earth that nourishes the trees and the grass beneath your feet. Notice how your breath connects you to the air above, the earth below, the sky all around. You are not a separate entity breathing air. You are the air moving through you, the earth moving through you, the sky holding you. The tree you saw earlier is not over there. It is here, in your breath, in the oxygen filling your lungs, in the same life force flowing through your veins. This is not metaphor. It is the direct, felt experience of interconnected wholeness. When you taste the cool water, it is not just water, it is the mountain stream, the rain, the earth's deep pulse, all flowing through your body. The tea you sipped earlier was the earth moving through you, and now, as you breathe, the earth is moving through you again, seamlessly. Reflect on this. How does seeing a tree as separate from yourself create suffering? It creates a sense of isolation, a feeling of being an island in a vast, indifferent sea. But when you see the tree as part of your breath, as part of the same life force, the suffering dissolves. The tree is not out there. It is within the very rhythm of your presence. You are not apart from the rain, the soil, the light. You are the rain, the soil, the light, breathing. This awareness is not a thought, it is a quiet recognition, felt in the softness of your breath, the stillness of your heart. This interconnected view transforms how we perceive nature's seamless flow. As the quiet reverence for the seamless web of nourishment settles within you, a gentle shift occurs. The awareness that breath, earth, and sky flow through your being, dissolving the illusion of separation, begins to soften into something warmer, deeper, gratitude. This is not gratitude for things received, but for the profound truth that you are already held within the embrace of the whole. When you see yourself not apart from the river, but as the river itself flowing through you, gratitude arises naturally. It is the heart's quiet acknowledgement of the vast, invisible threads that weave you into existence. Consider a simple cup of tea. You hold it, warm in your hands. But what unseen connections sustain this moment? The rain that nourished the leaves, the soil that cradled the roots, the hands that harvested the leaves under morning light, the sun that ripened the buds, the water drawn from a distant spring, the earth that shaped the clay of the cup. These are not separate acts, but one seamless movement. The tea is not merely a drink, it is the earth breathing through you, the sky's gift flowing into your cup. This is the essence of interconnected life, the profound simplicity of being held, moment by moment, by a field of grace we rarely notice. Reflect now on your own ordinary day. What small thing connects you to the whole without you realizing it? Perhaps it is the morning light that spills across your pillow, a sound of birdsong carried on the wind. The shared smile with a stranger on the street, or the steady rhythm of your own breath as you sit quietly. These moments are not isolated. They are threads in the same fabric. The question is not about grand gestures, but about noticing the quiet, everyday threads that bind you to the world. What simple thing in your life connects you to others or to nature? Let your awareness gently rest there. Now, practice this. Take a moment to write one thing you are grateful for that depends on unseen connections. It could be the air you breathe, the food you eat, the warmth of the sun on your skin, or even the quiet space that allows you to reflect. Write it down simply. I am grateful for the rain that feeds the forest that gives us clean air. Or I am grateful for the hands of the gardener who tended the vegetables on my plate. This practice is not about listing blessings, but about tuning your heart to the silent, flowing life beneath the surface of things. It dissolves the illusion of being a separate self and reveals the deep, shared pulse of existence. As you write this, feel how gratitude softens the edges of separation. It is not a feeling you create. It is the natural response of a heart that finally sees the truth. You are not separate from the tea, the rain, the gardener, the forest. You are the forest breathing, the rain falling, the cup warming your hands. This awareness is not abstract. It is the quiet certainty that you have always been part of the whole. This gratitude naturally extends to seeing nature as a unified expression. The mountains, the rivers, the trees, the creatures, they are not outside you. They are the living expression of the same seamless field that is your own breath, your own being. When you see the maple tree in the park, you see yourself reflected in its leaves. When you hear the wind through the pines, you hear the sound of your own stillness. The boundary between self and world dissolves, not into nothingness, but into a deeper, more vibrant belonging. This is the wisdom of non-duality, to see all things as the one field of life, expressed in countless forms, each a sacred reflection of the whole. Look now at the quiet space between your breath and the wind moving through the trees. Notice how the river flows without hesitation, carrying the mountain's water, the rain's memory, and the valley's soil into the ocean's embrace. See how the ancient forest shares its lifeblood through the hidden network of roots beneath the earth. A single tree sends nourishment to its neighbors, not as an act of generosity, but as the natural rhythm of the whole. The forest breathes as one, roots and branches interwoven in a silent conversation that has no beginning or end. This is not a metaphor, it is the very nature of existence. Nature does not divide. It simply is, a seamless field of interconnection where every drop of water, every leaf, every breath of air is part of the same flowing current. Reflect for a moment on this truth. How does seeing a forest, not as many trees, but as one living organism, change the way you stand within it? When you walk through the woods, do you feel the separate, isolated beings you once imagined? Or do you sense the deep, quiet pulse of a single, breathing entity? This shift is not about adding a new idea to your mind. It is about releasing the old habit of seeing only the edges, the boundaries we have drawn between things. The forest is not a collection of separate objects. It is a single, unfolding expression of life, just as your own body is not a collection of separate parts but a single, living field of energy and awareness. Now, let us bring this awareness to your immediate surroundings. Take a single leaf, perhaps resting on the path or clinging to a branch. Sit with it. Do not call it a maple leaf or a birch leaf. Do not name its color, its shape, or its purpose. Simply see it. Notice how its veins trace the same pattern as the veins in your own hand, how the light passes through it as it does through the air around you. Feel the way it connects to the branch to the tree to the earth to the sky to the vast, open space of the world. There is no separation here. The leaf is not apart from the wind, the sun, the soil, the rain, or your own breath. It is the very expression of the whole, right here, right now. This is the practice, to see without the label of separation, to rest in the simple fact of being part of the seamless flow. As you observe this leaf, notice how the mind naturally wants to name, to categorize, to pull it away from the rest. That is the old habit, the story of separation we have carried for so long. But here, in the quiet observation of the leaf, you can feel the gentle unraveling of that story. You begin to understand that the division between you and the leaf, between you and the river, between you and the ocean is not real. It is a thought, a habit of the mind, not a truth of existence. The river flows into the ocean. The tree shares its roots. The leaf breathes with the wind. There is only the one movement, the one life, the one field of awareness. This is not something you must believe. It is something you can feel in the quiet space of your own breath, in the simple act of seeing without separation. When you see the forest as one organism, when you feel the leaf as part of the whole, you begin to understand that the divisions we create within our own minds, between self and other, between good and bad, between me and you, are not the foundation of reality. They are like ripples on the surface of a deep, still ocean. The ocean remains whole, undivided, even as ripples appear and disappear. This unity in nature leads us to question the divisions in our own minds, to gently ask, what if the separation we feel is not the truth, but a temporary shadow on the surface of an ocean that is always whole. The river flows, the forest breathes, and we, too, are part of that seamless, flowing field. In the quiet space between breaths, observe how relationships naturally flow when the illusion of separation dissolves. It is not about merging into one person, but recognizing that the sense of a separate self is the very barrier that creates distance. When we stop seeing me and you as distinct islands in a vast sea, we discover the river itself, the connection that has always been there, unbroken. This is the heart of interconnection, where every encounter becomes a mirror reflecting the same living field of awareness. A simple moment of genuine listening can reveal this truth. Imagine sitting with a friend, not to share your own story, but to truly hear theirs. The words flow, the pauses hold space, and in that space, the feeling of two separate beings fades. You feel the warmth of their presence, the rhythm of their breath, and suddenly there is only the shared field of attention, a silent understanding that needs no words. This is the natural state, the way relationships were always meant to be, when the boundary between self and other dissolves like mist in morning light. Recall a time when you felt this connection deeply. Perhaps it was with a child laughing freely, or during a silent walk with a loved one where words were unnecessary. Maybe it was in a moment of shared grief or joy, where the distinction between you and me simply ceased to matter. In that moment, you did not feel separate from the other person or from the world around you. You felt part of something larger, a seamless flow of care and presence. It was effortless because the separation was gone. This is the natural state of being, the ground of all true relationship. Now, practice this simple shift in your next conversation. Listen to someone without planning your response. Let their words settle within you. Notice the quality of your attention. Is it waiting to speak, or is it fully present with them? Feel the subtle shift as you release the need to fix, explain, or defend. In that space of pure listening, a quiet connection arises, a sense of being together in the same moment, without walls. It is not about being perfect, but about the gentle return to presence, moment by moment. This practice of listening without agenda is not merely a technique, it is a direct experience of the interconnected wholeness we are exploring. It reveals that relationships are not transactions between separate entities, but expressions of the same underlying unity. The warmth you feel in a truly connected moment is the same warmth that flows through the mountain, the river, and the breath you take right now. It is the same grace that was present in the previous segment, the natural gratitude arising from recognizing our inherent unity. This boundaryless connection, felt in the simple act of listening, is the key. It prepares us to see beyond the self-other division that has shaped so much of our experience. It shows us that the separation we perceive is not reality, but a temporary veil. As we move forward, we carry this understanding of seamless connection, knowing that every interaction, every moment of true presence, is a doorway to the non-dual truth. This is the path of wisdom, walking through the world without boundaries, seeing all phenomena as one seamless field. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath moving in and out, a quiet pulse within the stillness. This moment, this very breath, is not separate from the vast movement of the world. It is not yours alone, a private possession held within your body. Instead, sense it as the air moving through the universe's breath, a continuous flow shared with every living thing. The coolness entering your nostrils, the soft expansion of your chest, the quiet release. These are not isolated events. They are the Earth's atmosphere breathing through you, the same air circulating in the leaves of the distant tree, the ocean's breath carried on the wind, the breath of the person sitting beside you, the breath of the planet itself. Reflect on this. Can you feel the air entering your body as part of the Earth's atmosphere? A single current moving through all forms of life. Not as a thought, but as a quiet sensation, a deep knowing in the body. Imagine standing by a river on a calm morning. The water flows, clear and steady, moving from the mountains towards the sea. You see the water, you hear its gentle sound, you feel the cool mist on your skin. Is the water separate from the mountains that fed it? Is it separate from the sky reflecting in its surface? Or is it simply the river, moving as one seamless expression of the Earth's flow? The river does not think, I am separate from the mountain. It simply is. It flows. So too, your breath is not a separate act within you. It is the river of air moving through the living earth, through the vast, interconnected field of being. When you breathe slowly, without urgency, without the need to control it, you begin to sense this shared element. Feel the air as it enters, a cool, soft movement. Sense it filling the space within you, not as a thing you own, but as a current flowing through you and the world. Feel the connection to the earth beneath your feet, the air above, the countless other beings breathing alongside you. This is not a mental exercise, it is a direct sensation, a quiet recognition of belonging within the whole. Let your breath become a gentle anchor, a way to touch this unity. Breathe in slowly, noticing the air's cool touch at your nostrils. Breathe out gently, feeling the soft release. As you do, allow the thought "mine" to soften and fade. Instead, feel the air as the earth's breath, the sky's breath, the breath of all life sharing this moment. There is no boundary between the air and the body, between the breath and the world. The separation dissolves like mist in the morning sun, revealing the deep truth of connection. in this simple act of breathing. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe breathing itself, aware and present. This is the profound peace of non-duality, not a concept held in the mind, but a felt reality in the body, a deep calm and warm belonging that arises naturally when separation falls away. This sensory unity, felt so clearly in the breath, naturally extends to how we hear and listen. The sound of a bird, the rustle of leaves, the quiet hum of the world, these too are not separate from the field of awareness. They are part of the seamless flow, a reminder that listening is not about hearing something outside of ourselves, but recognizing the sound as the very movement of the universe itself. Listen now. Close your eyes for a moment. Hear the gentle chime of wind through the garden gate. Not a sound to be captured or named, but simply the sound itself, dissolving the space between the chime and your listening. This is the beginning of listening without judgment. When you stop labeling the sound as good or bad, beautiful or annoying, the separation between you and the sound dissolves. You no longer stand apart, observing a separate thing called sound. Instead, the sound flows through you, and you flow through the sound in a single, seamless movement. The judgment creates the illusion of a separate self listening to a separate sound. It builds a wall where none exists. Reflect on this. How does your mind immediately label the sound as pleasant or disturbing? What happens to the space between you and the sound when you let that labeling fall away? It becomes a field of pure awareness, not a field divided by your thoughts. Imagine sitting in a quiet garden on a soft morning. Birds sing their simple songs from the branches above. You hear the sound, but you do not think, "I hear the birds." You do not think this song is lovely or that bird is annoying. You simply feel the sound moving through the air, moving through the space of your body, moving through the stillness of the garden. The sound is not out there, and you are not in here listening to it. There is no me hearing it. There is only the sound itself, resonating in the open space of awareness. The bird song becomes the garden breathing, the air moving, the quiet presence of the moment. Your mind might try to name it bird song or music, but you gently let those words dissolve like mist in sunlight. You feel the vibration of the sound in your chest, the way it flows through the leaves, the way it meets the quiet within you. The sound is not separate from the silence that holds it, nor from the awareness that feels it. There is only the sound, the silence, and the awareness, all woven together as one. This practice is not about forcing silence or emptying your mind. It is about noticing how judgment creates separation. When you think, "I hear the birds," you have already created a separation between the hearer and the heard. The sound becomes an object you observe, a thing that happens to you. But in the moment before the thought, before the labeling. There is only the sound. There is no one separate from the sound, no one apart from the listening. You are the listening itself, and the sound is the listening itself. The birds are not singing at you, they are singing with you, as part of the same living breath of the garden. This is the unity of perception. So take a deep breath now. Listen to the sound around you, not as a thing to be judged, but as a pure sensation flowing through you. Feel the vibration in your body. Let the sound be what it is, without adding your story. Notice how the space between you and the sound vanishes when judgment is released. Notice how the sound and your awareness become one seamless field. This is not a technique to achieve. It is simply the natural state of perception when the mind stops dividing. The separation dissolves, not through effort, but through the simple, quiet release of judgment. This non-judgmental listening reveals how perception is seamless. It shows that the sound is not out there, and you are not in here. It shows that the sound and the listening are the same movement, the same breath. The garden, the birds, the air, the silence, and your awareness are not separate things. They are all expressions of the same seamless, non-dual field. This is the unity that was always here, waiting to be felt, not thought about. The breath you felt in the previous moment now flows into the sound you hear now, and it is the same breath, the same awareness, the same seamless field. The garden is breathing through you, and you are breathing through the garden. There is no separation, only the sound of the seamless whole. In this deep calm where breath and sound have merged into one seamless field, notice how the mind naturally seeks to name what it encounters. We see a figure approaching and instantly label them a stranger, a neighbor, an elder, a youth. We hear a rustling in the leaves and call it wind, or perhaps a bird. These labels arise like ripples on still water, creating a sense of separation where none truly exists. The tree before you is not merely a tree, it is a living conversation of sunlight, soil, rain, and air, connected to the very breath within you. The person walking nearby is not an isolated entity. They are woven from the same interdependent fabric as the earth, the sky, and your own awareness. Labels like tree or person are useful tools for daily navigation, but they are mental constructs, not the flowing reality itself. Reality is fluid, interconnected, and constantly changing, far beyond the boundaries our minds impose. This mental habit of labeling creates a subtle barrier, making us feel separate from the world rather than part of its living whole. Consider the Zen garden, a place of profound simplicity. A single stone sits beside a patch of moss. Our mind might say, that stone is old and heavy, or the moss is soft and green. But in the stillness of true seeing, The stone is not separate from the moss, nor from the sky above or the earth beneath. The stone holds the memory of mountains. The moss feeds on the same air. The rain that touches both is one rain. The garden reveals no separate objects, only a continuous movement of energy and form. The label stone dissolves when we simply rest in the experience of its coolness, its weight, its presence within the whole. This is how reality truly is, not as isolated things, but as a seamless, breathing unity. Reflect now on your own labeling habit. What word or idea do you use that subtly pulls you away from connection? Perhaps it is stranger when meeting someone new, enemy when conflict arises, or different when encountering a person whose life path seems distant from your own. These words create invisible walls between you and the shared humanity you experience every day. Try this simple practice. Look at a person across the room, or even a face in a photograph. Do not name their age, their role, their appearance, their gender, or even their name. Just allow your eyes to rest on the softness of their eyes, the quiet of their posture, the simple presence of being. Feel the space between you as not a gap, but a shared breath. Notice how the moment feels lighter, less burdened by the story you usually tell yourself. In this unlabeled seeing, the separation dissolves, and you find yourself resting within the same awareness that holds both you and the other. This quiet practice of seeing without labels is not about ignoring reality. It is about seeing reality as it truly is, without the distortion of mental division. It is the direct experience that all things are connected, that there is no separate observer looking at a separate world. This seeing beyond labels dissolves the illusion of separate observers. Imagine sitting quietly as a bell rings. The sound enters your hearing, not as a separate thing to be labeled or judged, but simply as sound arising within the open space of awareness. This space is not something you possess or control. It is the very field where sound, thought, sensation, and even the sense of self are all happening. Awareness isn't yours to hold on to. It is the clear, empty ground itself, the space where all experience unfolds without needing a separate owner. It is not a thing observed, but the boundless presence in which everything appears. This is the gentle shift that follows the dissolution of separation we explored in the previous moments. When we release the habit of labeling sound as good or bad, mine or not mine, we discover that sound and awareness are not two things at all. They are the seamless flow of experience. Now, consider this question gently. Can you find a separate you watching your thoughts? Not the thought itself, but the supposed watcher behind it. The one who says, "I'm thinking." Look closely, not with effort, but with soft attention. Search for that separate entity, the thinker of thoughts. You might find the thought, the feeling of thinking, but the separate you who is doing the thinking. It fades like a shadow when the light of attention is turned on it. There is only the thought arising and the awareness holding it without a separate thinker. This is the practice offered here. Simply notice thoughts arising within the spacious awareness. Feel the thought come into being. Perhaps a memory, a worry, a plan. Notice it without adding the story, "This is my thought," or "I'm having this thought." Just let the thought appear, as a cloud appears in the sky of awareness, and then dissolve. See that there is no separate you standing apart, watching the thought happen. The thought is the sky. The awareness is the vast, empty sky itself, not a separate observer within it. There is only the arising, the noticing, and the space that holds both. It is not about stopping thoughts. It is about not adding the extra layer of I to the thought. Thoughts move through the field of awareness, and awareness is simply the field that is aware of their movement without needing a separate witness. This simple shift, this quiet noticing without the added layer of me, is where the true nature of awareness reveals itself. It is not a thing to be grasped, but the natural state of being present. It is the deep calm that comes when the effort to be a separate observer ceases. The practice isn't complicated. It is as simple as noticing the sound of the bell or the next thought without the me that tries to hold it. In this noticing, without the separation of thinker and thought, we rest in the fundamental unity of awareness. This awareness is the very ground of being, not a separate state we achieve, but the unchanging presence that is always here, now. It is the space where all experience happens, without a separate owner. This awareness shifts us from thinking to simply being. As we rest in the deep calm of awareness, gently dissolving the illusion of separation, notice how thoughts arise not as separate entities, but as natural movements within the vastness of mind itself. Imagine a still pond reflecting the sky. A breeze stirs the surface, creating ripples that spread outward. These ripples are not separate from the water. They are the water moving, the water expressing itself. Similarly, thoughts are not separate from awareness. They are the very activity of awareness unfolding. When you see a thought arise, it is not a separate visitor arriving at the door of your mind. It is simply the water itself rippling, the seamless flow of consciousness moving. This is the non-dual truth. There is no separate thinker observing the thought, no separate thought existing apart from the awareness in which it appears. The thought is the water, the ripple is the water, and the water is the awareness itself. Consider a moment when a thought arises, perhaps a worry about tomorrow or a memory of yesterday. In the past, you might have followed it, chasing its meaning, or judged it as good or bad. But when you see it as a ripple on the water, not as a separate thing you must manage, something softens. You notice the thought, But you don't need to hold it, chase it, or push it away. It is simply there, part of the flow, as natural as the ripple on the pond. There is no need to be the one who owns the thought or the one who is troubled by it. The thought is seen, felt, and then it passes, like the ripple fading back into the stillness of the water. This is the gentle practice. Watch the thought arise. Watch it move. Watch it dissolve, without grasping or rejecting. Simply allow the water to be the water, the ripple to be the ripple, and the stillness to remain. Reflect on this. How does seeing thoughts as waves on water change your relationship with them? Do you feel less resistance, less effort to control or change what is simply happening? Do you notice a quiet space opening up within the movement? A space where the thought appears but does not own you. This practice is not about stopping thoughts. It is about resting in the awareness that holds them, without dividing the thinker from the thought. It is the simple act of recognizing that the thought is not a separate problem to solve, but a natural wave in the ocean of your own being. The water is always present, even as the ripples come and go. This is the profound peace of non-duality. The thought and the awareness are not two things, but one seamless flow. As these ripples dissolve back into the stillness, as you see the thought not as an interruption, but as the very expression of awareness, you begin to truly embrace the impermanent nature of all experience. The water is always moving, always flowing, always changing, yet it remains water. This understanding of thoughts as waves on water is not an idea you hold. It is a direct knowing that arises when you stop separating and simply rest in the seamless flow. And in this resting, you find the natural embrace of impermanence, where every thought, every sensation, every moment is seen not as something to cling to or fear, but as the ever-changing expression of the vast, open, peaceful awareness itself. This is the heart of Dharma wisdom, where the wave is the water, the movement is the stillness, and all is perfectly as it is. Look at the leaf on the branch above you. See how its color shifts from green to gold. Notice how its shape softens as the breeze stirs it. It does not resist this change. It simply flows within the larger movement of the tree, the wind, the sun, the earth. This is not loss, but the natural expression of unity in motion. The leaf does not cling to being only green or only whole. It is the very flow of life itself, changing and yet always part of the whole. Impermanence is not an absence or a defeat. It is the essential nature of all things, the gentle current in which everything exists. When we see thoughts as separate from ourselves, or see a leaf as separate from the tree, we create a struggle. We imagine we must hold on to something solid, something that cannot change. But what is it that we hold on to so tightly? Is it the feeling of safety in a fixed idea? The image of a person unchanged? The certainty of a place we once knew? These are not separate things at all. They are part of the same seamless flow, constantly shifting beneath our eyes. The moment we believe they are permanent, we set ourselves against the natural movement of existence, creating suffering where there need be only peace. This is the heart of embracing impermanence fully. It is not about sadness for what passes, but about seeing clearly the truth of interconnected change. It is to feel the leaf's transformation not as a loss of the leaf, but as the leaf's deep belonging to the whole. Notice a changing object now. It could be the leaf, a cloud moving across the sky, the way your breath changes with each moment, the way a sound fades in the distance. Observe its change without labeling it as good or bad, as gain or loss. Simply see how it moves, how it is part of the larger pattern. Feel the shift within yourself as you let go of the idea that it should be different. Feel how the changing thing is not separate from the stillness of awareness, not separate from the air, the light, the earth. It is the very expression of unity in motion. The leaf changes and the tree remains. The thought arises and awareness remains. The sound fades and the quiet remains. There is no separation between the change and the whole. They are one continuous flow. Reflect gently on what separate thing you cling to that is actually changing. Is it a belief about yourself? A relationship as you remember it? The feeling of a moment that has passed? See how the clinging creates a sense of separation, a feeling of being outside the flow. Then, simply let that thought go. It is not about forcing yourself to let go, but about seeing clearly how the thing you hold is already moving, already part of the larger change. This is not resignation. It is profound liberation. As you rest in this seeing, the illusion begins to soften. The boundary between yourself and the changing world dissolves. You realize you were never separate from the flow. You are the flow itself, aware of its gentle movement. This acceptance dissolves the illusion of self-other divisions. Notice how the mind naturally divides experience into self and other, like a river imagining itself separate from the sky. This division feels real, solid, even necessary. Yet when we look closely, where does the boundary truly exist? The self we cling to, the other we perceive, are simply mental labels painted onto the seamless flow of awareness. They arise and dissolve like clouds in the vast sky of being, not as fixed things but as passing patterns. Reality has no walls, no edges. The separation is a thought, not a fact. Consider the tea ceremony. The server pours, the receiver accepts. In that moment, the act of pouring and receiving becomes one movement, not two separate actions. The server's hand, the cup, the warmth, the shared silence, they are not separate entities, but a single unfolding. There is no I'm serving you and you are receiving me. There is only the offering, the receiving, the gentle connection. This is not a special moment reserved for monks. It happens in ordinary life. Think of a time when you were completely absorbed in helping a friend, when the sense of me helping them dissolved into the simple act of being present. Or when you stood quietly with a loved one watching sunset, feeling no division between your breath and theirs. That feeling of oneness wasn't invented. It was the natural state of awareness, free from the constructed barrier of self and other. Now, bring this awareness to moments of friction. When conflict arises, anger rising, words sharp as knives pause. Don't fight the feeling. Don't chase the other person's actions. Gently ask yourself, is this separation real, or is it simply a thought arising in the mind? Notice how the mind instantly labels the other as wrong or against me, creating a wall. But in the space between thoughts, before the story begins, what is actually present? Is there a physical wall between you and the person before you? Or is it only the mental story of separation? This practice isn't about denying feelings, it's about seeing the thought of separation as a temporary cloud, not the sky itself. The anger may still be there, but the rigid division that fuels it begins to soften. You see the other not as an enemy, but as a fellow traveler in the same vast, seamless flow, perhaps also caught in the same thought patterns. This questioning dissolves the illusion that keeps us isolated. It reveals that every relationship, every interaction, is already part of the same undivided whole. When we stop believing in the solidity of self versus other, we step out of the prison of conflict and into the freedom of connection. We see that helping someone isn't about giving to another, it's about participating in the natural flow of care. We see that disagreement isn't a battle to win, but a moment to gently inquire together. This quiet shift in perspective transforms how we navigate relationships. It doesn't erase challenges, but it changes the very ground upon which we stand. We move from separation to unity, not as a distant ideal, but as the simple, immediate truth of this moment. This questioning transforms how we navigate relationships. Imagine the quiet moment between thoughts as you sit in stillness. Notice how thoughts arise like clouds in the sky of your awareness. They appear, they change, and they fade away, all without a single cloud ever truly separating itself from the vast sky. This is the seamless flow of mind, not a series of separate events, but one continuous movement. The illusion we cling to is the idea of a separate self, a fixed me that must be protected, defended, and defined against the world. This sense of separation is the ego's deepest illusion, a story we tell ourselves that never truly existed. It dissolves not with force, but with the simple, gentle recognition that we are already part of this vast, flowing whole. Consider the story of a monk walking beside a river. He sees the water flowing over smooth stones, the banks on either side, and feels a distinct separation between the river and the land. Yet, when he leans down, he sees the water seeping into the soil, the land holding the water, and the river itself shaping the banks. The boundary he perceived was never real. It was a momentary appearance in his own mind. The river and the bank are not two separate things. They are one continuous movement of water and earth, changing and flowing together. This is the truth of non-duality. The separation is a mental fabrication, not the nature of reality itself. The ego clings to the idea of a separate bank, but in truth, the river and the bank are the same river flowing through different forms. Reflect gently on this. What me do you protect that isn't real? Is it the feeling of being different from others? The need to be right? The fear of being unworthy? Or the identity tied to your job, your appearance, or your past? These are all the illusions the ego constructs to feel safe within a separate self. They are not who you are. They are thoughts and feelings passing through the seamless flow of your awareness. They have no substance of their own, no permanent form. When you feel that sharp sense of separation, when you feel judged, left out, or distinct from the world, this is the moment to practice. Take one slow, deep breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. Feel the ground beneath you, the sound of the wind, the presence of life all around you. Notice how your breath connects you to the same air that moves through trees, animals, and all beings. Feel the shared space of breath, of earth, of sky, that holds everything together. In this simple breath, the illusion of separation dissolves. You are not separate from the river. You are the river flowing within the vast ocean of life. This practice is not about becoming something new. It is about releasing the old, heavy burden of a separate self that was never real to begin with. When the ego's grip loosens, the space for compassion opens naturally. You no longer see others as separate from yourself, as needing to be defended against or understood from a distance. You simply are. And in that being, compassion flows effortlessly, without the barrier of me and you. The heart, unburdened by the illusion of separation, recognizes the shared breath, the shared life, the shared longing for peace within every being. This is the natural state of being, the seamless flow of mind, where compassion is not an action you perform, but the very ground of your existence. Releasing ego allows compassion to flow without separation. Imagine a quiet moment by the riverbank. A fisherman casts his line. Unaware, a small fish struggles in the net, its gills gasping. You see its desperate flicker, the tiny life caught in the mesh. In the ordinary world, this might feel like a distant, separate event. But when the illusion of separation dissolves, the fish's struggle resonates within you. It is not their suffering, separate from your own. It is the same breath, the same pulse of life that flows through the water, through the fish, through the fisherman, through you. The pain you witness is not an external event. It is the very texture of the boundless field of being itself. This is the natural arising of compassion, not a choice made, but the ground beneath your feet when you truly see the unity. Compassion becomes difficult when we hold the thought, they are separate from me. When we draw lines around ourselves, the suffering of others feels like a burden we must carry. Or worse, a problem to be solved from a distance. We see the pain, but we remain outside the circle, safe and separate. Yet, when we feel the sting of the fish's struggle as our own, the burden lifts. It is not a burden to feel the shared breath of life. It is simply recognizing the truth. The fish's gasp is your gasp. The fisherman's need for food is part of the same web. There is no them and us in the river's flow. Reflect now on a moment when you witnessed someone else's pain. Perhaps a friend's grief or a stranger's hardship. Notice the subtle distance that arose in you. How did that separation feel? Did it make you want to help from a place of pity? Or did it feel like an obligation? Now, gently turn your awareness inward. Feel the next breath you take. Notice the space between your breath and theirs. Feel the shared warmth of the air, the common pulse of life in both of you. Let the pain you see be felt not as their pain, but as the pain of the whole, as your own pain within the whole. This is not imagining their suffering, it is dissolving the illusion that it is separate. The suffering is part of the whole, and the whole is part of you. This is the practice of compassion without separation. It is not about fixing the world, but about resting in the knowing that there is no separate world to fix. The fish struggles, the river flows, the breath moves. Suffering is not an enemy to be fought. It is a signal within the seamless fabric, a call for recognition. When you feel the fish's gasp as your own, the natural response is not a forced act of kindness, but the effortless flow of care that arises from the recognition of shared being. You don't need to reach out, you simply are the reaching out. The compassion that is the very nature of the river. This boundless compassion transforms how we resolve conflict. When we no longer see the other as a separate enemy, but as the same life flowing through the same river, conflict loses its sharp edges. The need to win or be right dissolves. We see the shared fear, the shared desire for peace, within the very struggle itself. The path forward becomes clear not through force, but through the simple, deep understanding that we are already connected. This is the quiet power of seeing suffering as your own. Conflict often feels like a wall between us, a sharp division where one side must be right and the other wrong. Yet, what if this wall is not real but a temporary veil? A trick of the mind that forgets we share the same breath, the same earth, the same longing for peace, in the heart of disagreement. The true nature of things is already present. Both sides exist within the same field of awareness, not as opposing forces, but as different currents in the same river. When we see this, conflict does not vanish through force, but dissolves like mist under the morning sun. The illusion of separation weakens, revealing the underlying unity that has always been there. This is not about ignoring differences or pretending harmony exists where it does not. It is about recognizing that the very fear driving the conflict, the need to be seen, the desire for safety, belongs to the same shared human condition. What feels separate is merely a story we tell ourselves. The practice begins when tension rises. Pause, soften, and ask gently. What do we share that is not separate? Not what divides us, but what flows beneath the surface, connecting us in this moment. Consider a simple scene in a quiet garden. Two students, a master and apprentice, are preparing tea. The apprentice pours too quickly, spilling some on the table. Frustration rises in the apprentice. He feels criticized. The master, noticing the tension, does not speak. Instead, the master places a hand gently on the apprentice's wrist, feeling the slight tremor there. The apprentice looks up, startled. The master says softly, not to correct, but to point. See how the breath moves in both our hands. The spill is not an error against the master, but a moment shared in the same flow of attention. The apprentice feels the warmth of the shared breath, the common pulse of effort and care. The frustration softens. The spill is no longer a barrier. It becomes part of the shared moment, a reminder of the present connection. The conflict dissolved not by winning, but by remembering the field in which both existed. Reflect now on a recent moment of tension. Perhaps a disagreement with a friend, a moment of impatience with a colleague. Where did the feeling of separation arise? What sharp edge felt like a wall? Now, gently, let your attention soften. Notice the shared breath beneath the words, the shared hope for understanding, the shared fear of being misunderstood. Ask the question, what do we share that is not separate? See the common ground not as a compromise, but as the very foundation of the moment. This is not a technique to fix conflict, but a shift in perception to see the unity that was always present. The shared breath, the shared need for peace, the shared humanity in each other's eyes. These are not abstract ideas. They are the living reality beneath the surface of disagreement. When we see them clearly, the conflict loses its power to divide. This seamless resolution dissolves the illusion of giver and receiver, of those who act and those who receive. It reveals that compassion is not something we do, but the natural expression of recognizing the shared breath within all experience. The moment we see the other as part of the same field, the act of sharing flows without boundaries, without the weight of who is giving or who is receiving. It simply is. This is the boundless connection of compassion, where every interaction becomes a gentle reminder of our shared existence. Imagine the quiet space between breaths where all separation dissolves. In this space, compassion isn't something we do, it simply is, flowing as naturally as water finds its level. You may have felt this before, not as a grand gesture, but as a simple moment of shared warmth. Remember when you offered your last piece of bread to someone who seemed to need it? In that instant, did you truly feel two separate people? Or was there just the shared need, the shared offering, the shared moment of relief? This is the essence we explore now. Sharing as unity, not giving to someone separate from yourself. Compassion expressed through sharing is not an act performed by a distinct giver upon a separate receiver. It is the natural expression of recognizing that the boundary between you and me is an illusion. A thought arising within the shared field of awareness we all inhabit. When we see the other not as a separate entity, but as an expression of the same life force, the very concept of giving dissolves. There is only the flow of care, the natural movement of energy within the whole. The act of sharing becomes like the sun shining on a field of flowers. It does not say, "I shine upon you," it simply is the light. Consider a simple Zen practice. Picture yourself sharing a cup of tea with a friend on a quiet afternoon. The steam rises gently. You pour the tea without thought of yourself as the pourer or them as the receiver. You simply see the cup, the warmth, the shared moment of quiet. There is no "I gave you tea" in the mind. There is only the act of pouring, the warmth shared, the silent understanding in the space between you. You feel the flow, the natural movement of care, as if the tea itself was flowing through you and into them, without a separate source or destination. This is the practice, to let go of the idea of the giver and simply be the flow. Reflect on this. How does seeing sharing as unity, rather than an act of giving, change the way you offer kindness? When you help someone, do you feel a subtle weight of "I did this for you"? Or can you feel the helping as a natural expression of the interconnectedness you now see? When you offer a smile, a listening ear, or a helping hand, can you sense the shared life force moving through you both, making the act feel effortless, like breathing? This shift transforms generosity from a separate action into a natural part of being, dissolving the illusion of separation that often makes giving feel like a burden or a sacrifice. It becomes simply the way life expresses itself through you. This quiet flow of sharing, this natural expression of unity, extends beyond the mental act. It becomes the very texture of presence, the gentle warmth in a shared silence, the unspoken understanding that arises when we stop seeing ourselves as separate islands and recognize the vast, boundless sea of awareness we all share. This flow extends to physical connection without separation, where touch itself becomes an expression of the same unified field, not an action performed by one upon another. Imagine two people sitting together on a garden bench as evening light softens the edges of the world. Their hands rest gently in each other's grasp. There is no effort to hold, no thought of who is holding whom. The warmth flows, simple and clear, without a separate doer. It is not two people meeting, but one field of connection, a seamless presence where the sense of separate self dissolves like mist under the sun. This is the natural state of unity, felt not thought, known in the quiet space between breaths. Compassion in this moment is not an action we perform. It is the very air we breathe, the ground beneath our feet, the unbroken flow of existence itself. When we recognize that the one who holds and the one who is held are not two separate things, but a single, breathing whole, the illusion of separation vanishes. We no longer see a giver and a receiver, but simply the sharing of warmth, the natural expression of what has always been. It is effortless, like the way a river flows toward the sea without needing to decide its path. Consider the old couple who sit here every dusk. They do not speak of holding hands. They simply sit, their fingers intertwined, as if their hands have always known this way of being together. The years have softened the edges of separation until only the connection remains, a quiet pulse of shared presence. Their touch is not a bridge built between two shores, but the sea itself, vast and undivided. When they hold hands, there is no I'm holding you and no you are being held. There is only the warmth, the stillness, the profound simplicity of being together without a single thought of separation. This is the heart of compassion. It is not something we do, but what we are when we stop pretending we are alone. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Feel the warmth of your own hand, or imagine the gentle pressure of another's. Do not think, I am holding. Do not think, they are being held. Simply feel the connection itself. Notice how the warmth flows, how the space between hands becomes a single field of touch. There is no one holding and no one being held, only the feeling of being held and holding as one seamless presence. The sense of I dissolves like a drop of water in the ocean. The practice is not to force this, but to simply notice how it already is. When you hold a hand, real or imagined, feel the connection as the natural expression of unity, not an effort to create it. The separation was never real, it was only a thought. Now, feel the truth of this. The warmth is simply there, as it always has been. As the hand meets the hand, the silence between breaths deepens, The physical touch, this simple, boundless connection, points not to something beyond, but to the very nature of silence itself, the quiet space where all separation falls away, leaving only the fullness of what is. Sleep is not something you do. It is not a pause you take from being. When the eyes close and the body settles, it is not you resting. It is the universe resting through you. The earth breathes its deep rhythm through your bones. The stars hold the stillness within your breath. This is not a metaphor. It is the natural flow of unity, as effortless as the moon reflecting in still water. The water does not think, "I'm holding the moon." It simply is the water. So too, when you sleep, you are not the one resting. You are the resting. The vast quiet of the cosmos rests in the space between your thoughts, within the soft weight of your eyelids, in the slow rise and fall of your chest. You are not separate from the earth's quiet pulse. You are the earth resting. You are the sky holding the night. Consider this. How does seeing sleep as cosmic rest change your view of rest? When you rest, you are not merely recovering from effort. You are participating in the universe's own deep renewal. The tiredness you feel is not a burden you carry alone. It is the earth inviting you to rest within its own ancient stillness. The moon does not ask the water to reflect it. The water simply holds the light. You do not need to hold the rest. The rest holds you. This is not passive. It is the active presence of unity, where separation dissolves like mist in morning light. Before sleep, pause. Let your hands rest gently on your body. Feel the warmth of your skin, the softness of your breath. Notice the quiet support beneath you, the bed, the earth, the vastness holding you. Feel your body not as a separate thing needing rest, but as the earth resting. The mountain rests in its own stillness. The river rests in its flow. Your body resting is the earth resting in its own way. This is not an exercise. It is remembering. The earth does not rest to become something else. It rests as it always is. You rest as you always are. Reflect quietly in the quiet of sleep. The illusion of a separate self who must rest dissolves. There is only the rest itself. The moon, the water, the earth, your breath, all resting together. The effort to be separate fades. Only the deep, familiar stillness remains. This is the wisdom of non-duality in the most ordinary moment. It is not a special state to achieve. It is the natural rhythm of being already present when you close your eyes. Through this deep rest, the distinction between sleeping and waking dissolves. The quiet you hold in sleep becomes the quiet you carry into the day. The earth rests within you as you rest within the earth. This is not a shift. It is the natural unfolding of unity consciousness. As you drift into sleep, know this: you are not alone in the dark. The universe is resting with you, through you, as you. And when you wake, the unity remains not as a thought, but as the very ground of your being, clear as the morning light. As dawn softens the dark, the first light touches your eyelids. The birds begin their quiet song. You stir, and in that moment, the universe wakes through you. Waking isn't a separate you emerging from sleep. It's the entire field of awareness. The vast, silent ground of being, shifting its focus through your body and senses. That thought that arises, I'm tired, I need coffee, I must get up, is the illusion of separation forming. It's the mind habitually carving a small me out of the whole, like a wave thinking it is separate from the ocean. The true nature of waking is the ocean becoming aware of itself as the wave. Consider the old Zen story of the monk waking to the sound of the bell. The bell rings, and the monk is not separate from the ringing. The sound fills the room. The monk's body feels the vibration. The mind hears the tone, all of the same movement, the same breath of the world. There is no hearing the bell and the bell. There is only the bell's sound. The monk's awareness, the entire space resonating together. This is not a thought, it's the natural state of things, always present, always aware, simply flowing through the body. Now, try it slowly as you wait. Don't rush to the next thought. Feel the weight of your body in the bed, the cool air on your skin, the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Notice how the warmth of the sun on your face connects to the warmth of the earth outside, how the sound of birds is part of the same air that fills your lungs. Your body isn't a container holding you. It's the very place where the world's quiet awareness expresses itself. The separate thought, I'm waking up, is just a ripple on the surface. Let it pass, like a leaf on a stream. Rest in the feeling that you are not the ripples, but the still water beneath them, holding all movement without needing to be separate from it. Feel the unity of your breath and the breeze, your stillness and the world's gentle hum. This is not effort, it's simply opening to what is already here. This quiet awareness, carried from the deep rest of sleep into the gentle shift of waking, dissolves the illusion that you are alone within the world. It transforms how you move through life. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath as you settle into this moment. Notice how movement arises not from a separate self, but from the very pulse of life itself flowing through you. This is the essence of dancing, not as an action performed by you, but as life moving through you, expressing its own inherent harmony. When the idea of a separate dancer dissolves, the dance becomes pure presence, unfolding without effort, as natural as a leaf drifting on a stream. The music isn't something you listen to, it becomes the space in which your body breathes and flows. You are not the dancer, but the dance itself, moving with the timeless rhythm of existence. Consider the ancient story of the monk who danced in the garden at dawn. He moved with the swaying branches, the fluttering petals, and the bird song, his steps mirroring the wind's gentle sway. He felt no separation between his feet touching the earth and the earth itself holding him. The flowers did not dance around him, they danced with him. The birds' calls were not sound he heard, but sound he was in that moment. There was no he dancing, only the garden breathing through his limbs, the morning light flowing through his awareness. His dance was not an act of will, but a natural expression of the unity already present, like water returning to the ocean. Now, let your awareness rest in this truth. Close your eyes if it feels right, or softly gaze at the space before you. Listen to the music that surrounds you, whether it's a song playing, the rustle of leaves, or the quiet hum of the world. Begin to move gently, not with a thought of "I am dancing," but with a soft surrender. Feel the rhythm not as something outside you, but as the very pulse of your own being. Let your shoulders release, your feet find the ground, your hands flow as if guided by the wind. Notice when the thought "I am moving" arises, and gently let it go. Feel the movement as life moving through you, as the earth moving through you, as the rhythm of the universe expressing itself through your body. In this space, there is no dancer and no dance, only the seamless flow of life moving, breathing, being. The feeling is one of deep peace, a quiet joy that comes from knowing you are not separate from the dance, but the dance itself. This practice carries the stillness of your waking moments into action. It is the same awareness that carried you through sleep as the universe resting through you, now extending into the gentle motion of your hands, the shift of your weight, the rise and fall of your chest. Every movement becomes a moment of unity, a reminder that you are not apart from the rhythm, but a living expression of it. The practice is simple. Move with the music, not as a separate me performing, but as the music moving through you, the rhythm becoming your own breath. As you feel this unity in movement, notice how it naturally opens to sound and voice as the next expression of this same non-dual harmony. The breath that moves your body is the same breath that becomes the voice, the same rhythm that flows into sound. This is the seamless dance of existence, always present, always moving through you. As your steps flow with the earth's rhythm, a quiet joy settles within you, a natural harmony where movement and awareness become one. This seamless unity, this deep peace carried from waking and walking, now opens to the sound that surrounds and moves through you. Notice the bird song in the morning air, the rustle of leaves, the gentle hum of the world breathing. These sounds are not separate from you, They are the very expression of the field of awareness itself, moving through the same space you inhabit. Singing, then, is not an act performed by a separate self with a distinct voice. It is the universe singing through you, a resonance of the air, the earth, the light, the life that is already flowing. When you sing a simple note, do you feel a separate me producing it? Or do you sense the sound arising as part of the air itself, as natural as a breeze passing through a tree? The moment you feel the note as part of the air, not confined to your throat, the separate self dissolves. You are no longer the singer, you are the song. The practice is simple. Sit quietly for a moment. Take a gentle breath. Sing a single, soft note, not with your throat, but with your whole being, feeling the vibration begin in the space around you. Let the note rise as the air itself moves, as the wind moves through the trees. Feel the warmth in your chest, the resonance in your bones, but do not cling to the idea that you are making the sound. Let the sound be the air singing, using you as its vessel. Feel the connection to the bird song outside, the wind in the leaves, the very rhythm of the earth. This is not about skill or sound. It is about recognizing the unity that was always present, the non-separation of sound and the listener, the singer and the song. In this simple act, the separate I that tries to grasp and own the sound fades away. The note simply is part of the vast, quiet hum of existence. The quiet joy you felt in your steps, the deep peace of movement, now deepens into this sound. The boundaries dissolve. The air holds the note, and you are the air holding the note. This is the practice of singing without a separate voice. It is not about adding something new, but about releasing the illusion of separation that has always been there. The reflection is simple. When you sing, where do you feel the sound coming from? Is it a point within you, or is it the very space around you, alive and moving? Feel the space between your thoughts, the quiet before the next note. This is where the stillness begins to reveal itself. This sound unity, this effortless flowing of the universe singing through you, leads to a deeper stillness, a quiet knowing that was always there beneath the surface of sound. It is the stillness of the water beneath the ripples, now revealed not as emptiness, but as the very ground of all sound, all movement, all life. This stillness is the deeper truth that the sound leads you to. In the quiet space between breaths, we return to the seamless unity that has always been our nature. This is not a place we reach, but the ground we never left, where the illusion of a separate self dissolving into the whole. In the previous moment, we felt movement as life expressing itself through us, and sound as the universe singing through the earth. Now, we gently turn to the seeming opposites within that unity, suffering and joy. Suffering does not exist apart from joy. It arises only when we cling to the idea of separation. When we draw a line between me and pain, me and the world. The moment we stop holding that line, suffering naturally dissolves, not by force, but by the simple recognition that it was never truly separate. It was always part of the same flowing river. Consider the rain falling on a single leaf. The leaf does not feel the rain as an invasion, a separate thing happening to it. It simply is the leaf, and the rain is the rain, merging into one moment of wetness and light. The leaf does not resist the rain's touch because it knows it is part of the same rain, the same sky, the same earth. In the same way, when we stop seeing pain as something happening to me and instead feel it as the very texture of being, the sharp edge of suffering softens. It becomes part of the whole, not an enemy within. Reflect for a moment. When did suffering feel less yours and more shared? Perhaps it was during a community gathering after a shared loss, or when you held a friend's hand during their illness, and the weight lifted because it was no longer carried alone. In those moments, the boundary dissolved. The pain was still there, but it was no longer a wall around you. It was a current flowing through you and into the shared space of others. That is the first taste of unity dissolving suffering. Now, gently practice this in your next moment of discomfort. It may be a physical ache or a quiet worry. Do not try to push it away. Simply pause. Take one slow breath in, and as you breathe out, feel the sensation soften, not by denying it, but by allowing it to be part of the whole. Feel it as the earth holding your weight, as the air moving through you, as the quiet pulse of life itself. Breathe in and feel the pain as the rain on the leaf, not separate from the leaf, not separate from the sky. It is simply part of the breath of the universe moving through you. This is not about fixing pain. It is about remembering you are not apart from it. When this happens, the suffering does not vanish in a flash. It simply stops being a separate burden. It flows back into the unity, and in that flow, something else emerges. The sharpness of separation melts, and what remains is not absence, but a quiet, deep recognition. This dissolution reveals joy as simple, interconnected moments. It is not a grand celebration, but the quiet joy of a leaf holding rain, the peace of a breath moving through the whole body, the simple, unbroken sound of the earth breathing. Joy is not something we chase. It is the natural state of being when separation dissolves. And in that dissolution, we find the unity of all things, where suffering and joy are not opposites, but different notes in the same song. As the quiet rhythm of the earth continues beneath our feet, we carry forward the gentle insight from the singing that dissolved the illusion of separation. When sound and singer merged with the earth's natural pulse, suffering dissolved into a spacious awareness. Now we notice that joy, too, is not a separate possession held by a separate self. It is the universe expressing itself through ordinary moments, a natural flow as inevitable as the turning of seasons. Joy is not yours to own or lose. It is the very breath of life, flowing through the ordinary fabric of existence. When you feel the warmth of sunlight on your skin as you step outside, or taste the simple sweetness of a ripe fruit, recognize that this isn't just a moment you're experiencing. It is the universe experiencing itself through your open senses. A moment of pure, unbroken connection. There is no separation between the light, the skin, and the one who feels. It is all the same vibrant pulse. Reflect on this. What simple moment felt deeply connected recently? Perhaps it was the sound of rain on a window, the shared silence with a friend, or the quiet satisfaction of tending a small plant. In that moment, did you feel the boundary between you and the world soften, even dissolve? This is the essence of non-duality. Joy isn't something you find outside yourself. It is the ground beneath your feet, the air you breathe, the very texture of being alive. Now, take a gentle pause. Find a moment right now, even if only for a few breaths. Feel the air on your face, or the weight of your body resting in a chair, or the quiet hum of the world outside. Let go of the need to name it or hold on to it. Simply feel the warmth, the presence, the quiet joy that is already here, not as a feeling you create, but as the natural expression of life itself. Notice how this simple awareness shifts the ground beneath you. Suffering, which often arises from the desperate grasping at separation, begins to soften when we rest in this understanding. We see that the very moments we call joy are not separate from the moments we call hardship. They are simply different expressions of the same unified flow. The sunlight on your skin is not a temporary relief from the storm. It is the storm's own gentle breath. This is why the practice is so simple yet profound, to pause and feel joy in a small moment, not as an escape, but as an invitation to remember our true nature. As you feel the warmth of the sun, or the coolness of water, or the sound of birds, let it be a reminder that you are not apart from the life that moves through you. You are the river and the water, the singer and the song. This quiet joy, felt in the ordinary, does not seek to be held or preserved. It simply is, like the light itself, radiant and free. And this is how it naturally leads to finding peace in stillness. When we no longer seek joy as a separate state to attain, but recognize it as the very nature of being, the need for stillness becomes not a seeking, but a deepening into the peace that is already here. The joy in sunlight flows seamlessly into the deep peace of stillness, revealing that both are expressions of the same unbroken whole. The stillness is not empty. It is filled with the quiet pulse of life, the same pulse that moves through the sunlight, the rain, and the breath within you. This is the unity we have been glimpsing all along. Imagine a mountain lake on a windless morning. The water holds the sky. The trees, the clouds, perfectly still yet alive. It doesn't try to be still, it simply is. This is the universe's natural state, not something we must achieve. Stillness isn't your doing. It's the ground of being itself. When we stop trying to be still, stop perceiving ourselves as separate from this quiet presence, we discover the truth. The separation we feel, the effort to hold on to calm, is the very thing obscuring the stillness that has always been here. It's not that you become still, it is that the stillness, which is the universe's own quiet breath, reveals itself as your own nature. You are not separate from the lake, you are the lake reflecting the sky. This is the non-dual truth. Suffering dissolves not by fighting it, but by realizing the stillness was never lost, only obscured by the noise of separation. Joy isn't a separate feeling to chase. It's the natural flow of life expressing itself within this unbroken stillness. Consider the monk who sat by the river. For years, he struggled to quiet his mind, believing stillness was something he needed to create through effort. One morning, exhausted, he simply stopped fighting. He watched the river flow, heard the birds, felt the earth beneath him, and noticed the thought, "I am still," arise. Then, without grasping at it, he let it go. In that letting go, the river, the birds, his own breathing, all dissolved into a single, silent presence. There was no observer and no observed, only the river flowing within the stillness of the whole. The stillness wasn't something he achieved. It was the river's own nature, which he finally recognized as his own. He didn't become still. He remembered he was still. So close your eyes now. Sit quietly. Feel the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath. Don't try to be still. Don't watch for stillness. Simply be. Notice how stillness feels when you're not observing it. That quiet, unasked for presence beneath the surface of thought. It's not a feeling you create. It's the space in which all feelings arise and pass. Feel it as your own presence, not as something separate to be attained. This is the practice, not to force calm, but to rest in the calm that is already here, the calm that is the universe's own resting place. When you stop searching for stillness outside yourself, you find it is the very ground of your being, the silent pulse beneath all movement, the joy that was never lost, only forgotten in the noise. This stillness reveals silence as unity itself. As we settle into the gentle stillness you've been cultivating, notice how the very quiet of this moment holds its own profound presence. It is not empty space waiting to be filled, but a fullness where all sounds and sensations resonate together. This is the nature of silence we explore now, the silence that reveals unity. Silence isn't absence, It's the sound of unity. It is the deep hum beneath the surface of all experience. The unspoken connection that flows through every breath, every rustle of leaves, every heartbeat within and around you. In the quiet, the separation between listener and sound, between self and world, dissolves. What remains is simply the field of awareness itself, vast and undivided. Consider the ancient Zen master who sat beneath a maple tree as rain began to fall. The sound of raindrops hitting leaves, the gentle patter on the roof, the distant rumble of thunder, these were not separate sounds to be heard one by one. In the deep quiet of his presence, he heard only the single, seamless sound of the rain itself, the sound of the world experiencing itself. The distinction between the falling rain and the listening mind vanished. The rain was not outside him. It was the expression of the stillness he was. This wasn't a special achievement, but the natural state of awareness when the mind stops grasping and simply rests. The sound of the rain was the sound of unity, heard clearly only in the space of pure listening. Reflect now on your own experience of silence. What do you hear within the quiet that connects you to everything? Perhaps it is the subtle rhythm of your own breath, the faint hum of the world beyond your window, the feeling of your body resting on the chair, or the gentle pulse of life within you. Notice how these sensations, when heard without separation, don't feel like separate things. They feel like different notes in the same melody, different expressions of the same underlying harmony. The silence isn't empty. It is full of this connection, this quiet music of oneness. It is the sound of the universe breathing through you, and you breathing through it. Let us practice this simple awareness together for a moment. Sit comfortably. Allow your body to settle, and gently close your eyes if that feels right. Bring your attention to the sound of silence itself. Don't search for a specific noise, simply rest in the quiet space. Notice what arises within that quiet, the sound of your breath, the feeling of your body, the subtle shifts in the air. Feel the unity in the quiet, the sense that you are not apart from the silence, but are the silence itself experiencing itself. This is not about forcing calm, but simply allowing the natural state of unity to be felt. Sit in silence for 2 minutes, feeling the unity in the quiet. Let the quiet be your teacher, revealing what words can never fully express. This quiet presence, this felt unity in silence, is not a temporary state to be grasped. It is the natural ground of being, the unbroken field of awareness that was always here. It prepares us to see the present moment as one field, where suffering and joy, stillness and sound, self and world, are not separate things but expressions of the same seamless reality. The silence we hold now is the very fabric of this unity, ready to be seen in every moment of our lives. The gentle stillness we recognized in Chapter 7 was not a distant state to be reached, but the very ground of being. It dissolved the illusion of separation, revealing silence as unity itself. Now, as we step into the flow of daily life, we discover this unity not as a quiet pause, but as the active field of every moment. The present moment is not your moment, nor my moment, nor a moment belonging to anyone at all. It is the single, seamless field of experience where all things arise and pass without separation. When we imagine time as a series of separate moments, past regrets, future anxieties, we create a barrier within ourselves. This separation is the root of stress, for it asks us to hold on to what is gone or fear what has not yet come, leaving us feeling fractured and alone in the present. We forget that the moment we are living is already complete, whole, and shared with all that is. Consider a potter working with clay. There is no separate potter, no separate clay, no separate act of shaping. The hands move, the clay responds, the breath flows, all as one continuous movement of attention. The potter does not think, "I am making a cup," for that thought would split the action into self and object. Instead, the potter simply is the movement, the clay, the turning wheel, the quiet focus, all one field of awareness. The potter's action is not an effort to create something separate. It is the expression of the field itself, flowing without resistance. This is the essence of non-duality in action. The moment we stop seeing ourselves as separate from the activity, the moment dissolves into unity. So, let us gently reflect now. Close your eyes if it feels right, or soften your gaze. Bring your attention to the present moment. Notice the breath moving in and out, the sound of a distant bird, the feeling of your body resting. Do not label these sensations as mine or yours. Simply feel them as they are, part of the same unfolding field. Notice how the thought "I am breathing" creates a tiny separation. Let that thought pass. Feel the breath itself, the sound, the sensation as one seamless presence. Feel the ground beneath you, the air around you, the light touching your skin, all as a single, quiet field of awareness. There is no me experiencing the moment and no moment being experienced. There is only this. This is not a practice to achieve, but a recognition of what is already true. When we rest here, stress naturally falls away, because the illusion of separation is seen through. This field of unified awareness is not passive. It is the very source of creative action and compassionate service. It is the ground from which all genuine creation flows, without the burden of a separate self trying to make something happen. The potter shapes the clay not as a separate act of will, but as the natural expression of the field. The same is true for the gardener tending plants, the teacher guiding students, the person offering a kind word. In every moment of true action, There is no separation between the doer, the action, and the world. This unified field expresses itself through creation without separation. Breathe in the quiet space between thoughts. Feel how the present moment already holds everything, seamless and whole. This is the unified field we touched in the silence of Chapter 7, the natural state where the sense of a separate self dissolves into the flow of awareness. Now, as we move into action, we discover this unity not as stillness alone, but as the very ground of creative expression. Chapter 8 explores how this field expresses itself through our hands and heart. Consider the potter at the wheel. The clay spins, the hands move, the form emerges. There is no separate potter watching the pot being made. The movement arises from the connection between earth and intention, between the maker and the made. The potter does not say, "I am creating this vase." The vase simply comes into being through the movement of the hands, guided by the quiet attention of the moment. The artist is not separate from the art. The art is the expression of the unified field itself, flowing through the body and mind without a separate I directing it. This is the profound shift. Art isn't made by you, it's the universe creating through you. When you sit to draw, to weave, to shape, to write, do you feel separate from the art you are making? Or does the brush move, the line form, the words flow as if through a channel, without the thought I am creating standing between the action and the result? The question is not about skill, but about the subtle space where the sense of a separate creator dissolves. It is the space where the potter feels the clay, the drawer feels the line, and the act itself becomes the expression of the whole. Try this now, gently. Take a pen or pencil. Do not think about drawing a picture. Do not think I am creating. Simply place the pen on paper. Feel the weight of the pen, the resistance of the paper. Let your hand move without the inner commentary, I am doing this. Let the line form as the breath moves through your body. Notice if the thought I am creating arises, and then gently let it go. Return to the simple act of the line appearing. This is the practice of creating without an artist, not forcing, not claiming, but simply allowing the awareness of the unified field to express itself through the action. In this simple act of drawing, without the weight of I, you experience the non-duality of action. The separation dissolves. The hand moves. The line appears. And there is only the movement of the field itself. The art is not yours in the sense of belonging to a separate self. It is a moment of the universe expressing itself through your hands. This is the wisdom of the potter, the painter, the musician, the recognition that the act of creation is not separate from the source of creation. This creation flows into service without separation. The line drawn becomes an offering. The pot shaped becomes a vessel for tea. The song sung becomes a moment of connection. There is no me creating the art and you receiving the service. The act itself is the service, the expression of the unified field in action, the next step. Therefore, is not to move from art to service, but to recognize that the art, in its true nature, is already service. It is the seamless expression of the whole. This creation flows into service without separation. In the quiet space between breaths, where awareness flows without a separate shore, action arises not as an effort, but as the natural expression of unity. This is the field we have been exploring, the seamless ground where the potter's hands move, the brush touches the paper, and the river finds its path. Now, in this same unity, we turn to service, not as a separate act of giving to others, but as the universe serving itself through you. The moment you see service as a flow within the whole, the illusion of a separate giver and receiver dissolves. There is no one to help and no one to be helped. Only the movement of care itself, as natural as the sun rising. Imagine someone watering plants in a garden. They do not think, I am watering the plants. Their hands move with the ease of a branch swaying in the wind. They see the thirsty leaves, and the water flows from the container to the earth, without a separate me directing it. The soil drinks, the roots drink, the plants grow all within the same unbroken current. This is not service as an act you perform. It is the universe tending to itself, moment by moment. The water, the soil, the hands, the care, all are one flowing movement. The gardener does not stand apart from the garden. They are the garden breathing. Reflect on this. How does seeing service as unity change your motivation? When you no longer seek to be the helper, but simply allow the helping to happen. The weight of effort lifts. You no longer ask, will this be noticed? Or, am I doing enough? Instead, you see that the need is already met by the flow itself. The motivation shifts from self-centered striving to pure presence. It becomes a gentle offering of what is, not a transaction of self to other. The heart opens without the need to be seen as generous. You simply pour the tea, mend the torn cloth, or offer a word of kindness without the thought, I am doing this for you. The action happens, and that is enough. It is the river moving, not the river deciding to move. This is the practice. Help someone without thinking I'm helping. Just act. When the child stumbles, you reach out without naming the act. When the meal is prepared, you serve without measuring your generosity. The moment you notice the thought, I am helping, gently return to the action itself. Feel the warmth of the cup in your hands, the quiet sound of the spoon against the bowl, the simple presence of the person before you. The thought of a separate self fades, and only the serving remains, unbroken, whole, and utterly natural. This is not self-effacement. It is the recognition of your true nature as part of the whole. In this way, service becomes a profound expression of non-duality. It is not about what you do, but how you do it without separation, without the burden of self. The universe serves itself through the open heart, the unclenched hand. The act is not yours, nor is it theirs. It is simply the movement of care flowing through the world. This same unity extends beyond service into learning without a learner, where the mind receives wisdom without the need for a separate knower. The question of who is learning dissolves into the gentle unfolding of understanding itself. Imagine the quiet flow of a mountain stream, moving without effort, carrying the light of the sun without thinking of itself as the carrier. This is the nature of action in the unified field, where creation, service, and learning are not separate acts performed by a separate self, but the very movement of awareness itself. In this space, the illusion of a separate learner dissolves. Learning isn't something you do. It isn't your mind grasping knowledge like a treasure. It's the universe knowing itself through you, unfolding like a flower opening to the sun. The knowledge isn't found in the mind of a knower. It simply arises as naturally as the stream finds its path. Consider the old bamboo grove. An elder sits beneath the trees, not teaching, but simply being present. A young student watches, listening to the rustle of leaves, the sound of the wind through the stalks. The student's mind isn't fixed on learning something new. It's open, quiet, like the space between the bamboo. There's no eye trying to absorb knowledge. Instead, understanding flows in like the scent of rain on the earth without a separate entity receiving it. The student doesn't say, "I'm learning bamboo." The learning is the bamboo's quiet presence, the wind's movement, the student's open awareness all becoming one. This is how the universe knows itself, not through a separate learner, but through the seamless flow of attention and experience. Reflect now on your own moments of learning. When you study a new skill, read a book, or listen to a teacher, do you feel a quiet separation between yourself and the knowledge? Is there a subtle I standing apart, watching the learning happen? Notice how that sense of separation creates a small tension, like a stone in the stream. When you let go of that I, the learning becomes effortless, like the river moving without resistance. It's not about achieving understanding. It's about resting in the openness where understanding naturally arises. Practice this today. Choose something simple to learn, a new word, a gesture, the sound of birds. As you engage, gently let go of the thought, "I am learning this." Feel the learning happen without a separate actor. Notice how the knowledge isn't something you collect, but something that simply appears, as the light appears when the clouds part. This practice isn't about becoming a better learner. It's about remembering that learning, like all action, is the unified field expressing itself, There is no separate learner to be improved. There is only the flow of knowing, moving through you as naturally as the wind moves through the trees. When this understanding takes root, the need for a separate teacher fades. The teaching becomes the flow itself, as natural and unforced as the stream. This is how teaching without a teacher begins. In the quiet space between thought and awareness, we notice how the mind divides experience into right and wrong. This division feels real, a natural way to navigate the world. Yet beneath the surface, reality flows as a single, seamless current. Right and wrong are not inherent in the world, but creations of the thinking mind, like ripples on a still pond. They arise to separate, to protect, to define the self. But in truth, every action, every word, every moment is part of the whole, expressing the same unified energy. To hold on to judgment is to build a wall where none exists, to see a broken piece instead of the living whole. Consider this ancient teaching. A monk once lived in a village where a fire threatened a family's home. His neighbors urged him to act, to save the children. He replied, "I cannot save them, for I see no one to save and no one burning." His words were not indifference, but a direct perception of unity. The fire, the family, the monk, all were expressions of the same energy, not separate entities. His mind did not divide them into rescuer and rescued, right action and wrong inaction. The fire burned. The family suffered. Yet the monk saw no separation to fix. This was not passivity, but profound non-dual awareness. He did not judge the situation as wrong needing correction. He simply moved within the flow, without the burden of division. Now, gently reflect on your own experience. What wrong thing do you judge in another, or even in yourself? Perhaps it is a word spoken harshly, a choice made that seems misguided. Pause and ask, is this separation real? Or is it merely a thought creating a boundary? When you judge someone's action as wrong, do you see the whole, or only a fragment of the unified field? Notice how the judgment creates a small world of me against them. Then, see if you can soften that boundary. What if their action, their very presence, is not separate from the whole, but part of the same expression? This is not about excusing harm, but about seeing beyond the illusion of separation. In a disagreement, when tension rises, ask yourself, is this separation real, or a thought I'm holding on to? The question itself dissolves the need to be right, to fix, to defend a separate self. This practice transforms communication from a battle of perspectives into a flow of understanding. When you release the need to label actions as right or wrong, you step out of the dualistic trap. You no longer seek to prove yourself right or to make the other person wrong. Instead, you listen without the filter of judgment, seeing the shared humanity beneath the words. The space between you opens, not as a gap to fill, but as a natural, unbroken connection in this space. Healing begins not because one person fixes another, but because the very idea of a healer and a wounded one dissolves. The healing is the natural flow of unity expressing itself through the interaction. This letting go allows healing without a healer. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the gentle warmth in your hands, the quiet rhythm of your breath. Now, notice the subtle shift in your body when you receive care. Perhaps a friend offers a listening ear, or you sit in nature. In that moment, do you feel separate from the care you receive? Or does it feel like a natural current flowing through you, as if the care itself is simply the world expressing its own inherent wholeness? Healing isn't done to you, but the universe healing itself through you. It is not a separate action performed upon a separate self. The separation we often feel, the healer and the healed, the giver and the receiver, is the illusion. When that separation dissolves, healing becomes simply the natural flow of life, expressing itself without a doer. Imagine a gardener tending to a wilting plant. The gardener doesn't stand apart, forcing life into the plant. They simply water the soil, feel the sun's warmth, notice the plant's needs, and act in harmony with the garden's natural rhythm. The water, the sunlight, the gardener's hands, the plant's roots, all are part of one seamless current. The gardener isn't healing the plant. The garden, in its wholeness, is simply unfolding. The healing happens because the false barrier between gardener and garden has dissolved. The gardener doesn't feel like a separate agent fixing the plant. They feel part of the same living flow. The plant doesn't feel fixed by an external force. It feels the natural support of the whole. Reflect gently on your own experience. When you feel truly cared for, when you feel a sense of ease or renewal, how does it feel? Is there a sense of someone doing something to you? Or does it feel more like a natural, effortless coming together? How does seeing healing as unity, this seamless flow of life expressing itself, change your experience? Does it soften the weight of needing to be fixed or healed? Does it bring a quiet relief? A sense that you are already whole, simply resting within the flow? Practice this now. Feel the warmth in your hands not as an action you perform, but as the natural expression of your presence. Feel your breath not as something you control, but as the quiet rhythm of the universe moving through you. Let healing be the natural flow, not an action you must do. Notice the sensation of being held, supported, without needing to be the one who holds or is held. This is the practice, to rest in the knowing that healing is simply life living itself, right here, right now, through you. This same seamless flow is the very nature of prayer. It is not the separate self praying to a separate God. It is the universe praying through you, the universe knowing itself. This healing extends to prayer without a prayer. In the quiet before dawn, a monk sits in his small garden, hands resting gently on his knees. His breath flows in and out, slow and steady, not as an act performed by a separate self, but as the natural rhythm of the earth itself. He feels no one there to pray, only the soft, deep current of awareness moving through him. This is prayer without a prayer. Prayer is not something you do. It is the universe expressing itself through the open space of your being. When you lift your hands in prayer, when you whisper a word of gratitude, when you simply sit in stillness, the separation between the one who prays and the prayer dissolves. The feeling of being a separate entity offering something to a distant God is an illusion. The prayer is not happening to you or through you. It is happening as you. The universe is not praying through you. You are the universe praying. Reflect on your own moments of prayer. When you close your eyes and speak words of hope or thanks, do you feel a sense of separation? Do you stand apart, asking for something from the universe? Or do you feel the prayer itself as the very air you breathe, the rhythm of your heart, the quiet hum of existence? The practice is not to stop praying, but to stop believing in a separate prayer. Let go of the thought, I am praying. Instead, feel the prayer as the universe unfolding. Feel the words not as yours, but as the natural expression of the stillness within you and around you. Feel the intention not as a personal wish, but as the universe longing for itself to be known. The space where the I dissolves is where true prayer lives, not as an action, but as a state of being. There is no one left to ask, only the asking itself, pure and whole. Notice the subtle shift when you drop the I in your prayer. The words may still form, the hands may still lift, but the energy changes. It becomes lighter, warmer, less like a request and more like a recognition. It feels less like effort and more like simply being present with the flow. The feeling of separation fades, replaced by a deep sense of belonging. The prayer is not coming from a point inside you. It is the point where you have always been. You're not the one praying, you are the prayer. The universe is not asking for something, it is simply expressing itself, fully and without division. This is the quiet truth beneath all words. The prayer is the universe. The universe is the prayer. This prayer, without a prayer, does not seek to change anything outside itself. It simply is. It flows through you as the universe blessing itself. This is the natural state, not a special achievement, but the only state that ever was. It leads to blessing without a blessing, for there is no separate self to receive the blessing, and no separate blessing to be given. The blessing is the seamless flow itself. Gently, Let the water of a still pond hold your attention. Observe how a single drop falling creates ripples that spread outward without any separate agent causing the movement. The water itself is the ripples. The movement, the calm. This is the nature of blessing. It is not something you create or give from a separate place within you. It is not the act of you blessing another. Blessing is the universe blessing itself, flowing through the open space of being, just as the pond naturally becomes the ripple. There is no giver and receiver, only the seamless expression of life itself. When we release the idea of being the one who blesses, the illusion of separation dissolves. The warmth that was always there, the gentle flow of compassion, simply moves through us as naturally as the sun warms the earth. This is why blessing feels so deep and effortless when you are not the blessing. It feels like a quiet belonging, like the recognition of being part of the same current that moves through all things. You don't feel separate from the blessing. You feel it as the very air you breathe, as the ground beneath your feet, as the unspoken understanding between two people sitting in silence. Reflect now on a moment when you offered a simple gesture of kindness, perhaps a soft word to someone who seemed weary, or a silent presence in a difficult time. Did you feel like you were doing something for them? Or did it feel more like the kindness was simply happening, flowing through you without effort, without the thought of me doing it? Notice the difference. When the thought of me blessing you fades, the blessing becomes a shared space, a natural unfolding, not a transaction. It feels light, expansive, and deeply true. This is the practice. Next time you wish someone well, or offer a kind word, close your eyes for a moment. Feel the space within you open. Don't try to give anything. Simply notice the warmth, the gentle current of goodwill that has always been there. Feel it flow through your hands, through your voice, through your heart, as if you're the channel, not the source. Let the blessing move through you without stopping to ask who is blessing whom. Let it simply be the expression of the whole, moving as naturally as the water in the pond. In that moment, you are not the one blessing. You are the blessing. The universe is blessing itself through the open space of your being. This simple practice dissolves the last barrier. It shows us that every act of kindness, every moment of connection, is not something we do, but something the universe does through us as a natural expression of unity. There is no separate self to bless, no separate self to receive. Only the seamless flow of love, moving as naturally as breath. This blessing prepares us for the final integration of unity. In the quiet space where prayer and blessing dissolve into seamless belonging, where the universe breathes through open awareness without a separate receiver. We move now to the simplest yet most profound gesture. Look into another's eyes, not as a separate self observing another, but as the very fabric of awareness holding the space for this meeting. When you look without the thought, "I'm looking," the separation dissolves. You are not the seer. The seeing itself is the universe recognizing itself in the depth of another's gaze. The eyes become a window not to another person, but to the boundless field of presence that both of you inhabit. This is not about concentration or effort, but about releasing the subtle tension of me looking at you. The moment you let go of that thought, the universe sees itself through the eyes of the other, and the other sees itself through your eyes. It is the same seeing, the same awareness, flowing without a barrier. Consider a simple moment. A child looks up at you with wide, clear eyes. In that instant, if you do not think, "I'm looking at this child," but simply allow the gaze to be as it is, the child's eyes become a mirror, reflecting the same unbroken light that is your own. You do not see the child as an object to be perceived. You see the child as the very expression of the seeing itself. The connection that arises is not between two separate beings, but as the natural resonance of one field of awareness. The warmth, the recognition, the sense of being known without needing to be known, it comes not from effort, but from the absence of separation. This is not a technique to master, but a letting go of the illusion that there is a separate self doing the looking. It is the natural state of awareness when the barrier of I is quietly released. Reflect on this. How does your connection change when you see without separation? When the thought, "I am looking," fades, does the sense of distance vanish? Does the other person feel less like a separate entity and more like an expression of the same presence? Does the connection feel lighter, warmer, more deeply familiar, as if you have always known this unity? The practice is not to stare intensely, but to gently rest your gaze in the openness of the moment, noticing the subtle shift when the I dissolves. It is not about seeing more clearly, but about seeing without the veil of separation. The eyes hold the space for the universe to recognize itself, and in that recognition, all distinction falls away. This gaze leads to smiling without a separate smile. As the seamless flow of awareness deepens, the quiet belonging we discovered in Chapter 9 finds its natural expression. The gaze that dissolves separation, the recognition of shared presence without an observer, does not remain still. It breathes, it moves, it becomes the very expression of the world itself. This is the moment we arrive at the smile. Not a smile you produce, not a smile that belongs solely to you, but the universe expressing joy through the open space of your being. It arises not from a separate self saying, "I am happy," but from the simple, unforced resonance of life itself flowing through the form of your face. When you smile, feel the warmth, the softening of the eyes, the gentle lift of the lips. In that instant, ask yourself gently, do you feel separate from the joy? Or is there a sense that the joy is simply happening, not owned, not created by a separate you, but recognized as the natural state of things, as the universe expressing itself in this very moment? Consider the old Zen master who sat with a young child, both simply present in the sunlight. The child, seeing the master's calm face, offered a wide, unguarded smile. The master did not think, "I will smile back," nor did he feel the smile was his own achievement. He simply smiled back, a natural response to the child's open joy, a reflection of the shared presence. The smile was not a separate thing he did. It was the meeting point of the child's joy and the master's open awareness, the universe smiling through them both. There was no I behind the smile, only the joy itself flowing through the space between them, a single wave in the ocean of being. Now, practice this without effort. Sit quietly for a moment. Feel the natural warmth in your face. Let a smile arise as naturally as the light of the sun on a leaf. Do not try to make it happen. Do not wait for a reason. Just allow the ease of your presence to soften into a smile. As it comes, feel the joy not as something you possess, but as the very fabric of the moment. Feel it as the shared breath of the room, the quiet hum of the world, the joy that is simply here, always. Notice if there is a subtle sense of "I'm smiling," or if the smile simply is, as effortless as a flower opening. The key is not to force the smile, but to recognize that the smile is already here, part of the whole, not separate from it. The feeling of separation is the illusion. The natural smile is the truth of unity. This is the heart of embodied unity. It is not a special state to be achieved, but the simple recognition that every expression of life, joy, sorrow, the quiet breath of a shared moment is the universe knowing itself, expressing itself through the form of your life. The smile is not yours to keep. It is the universe expressing joy through you, and you through it. The same truth holds for every feeling, every experience. When the tears come, as they will, they are not your sorrow held in isolation, but the universe expressing its depth, its tenderness, through your open heart. This joy extends to crying without separate sorrow. The gentle smile that arose without an actor now flows naturally into the quiet presence of tears. This is not the sorrow of a separate self, but the universe releasing its own weight through the body. When a wave of grief rises, it is not my pain to carry, nor your pain to witness. It is simply the earth breathing, the sky weeping, the shared human condition unfolding in this moment. The sorrow dissolves not because it is ignored, but because it is recognized as part of the whole. The body weeps, not as an individual crying, but as the universe releasing tension, as rain falls without needing to be the rain. This is the depth of embodied unity, Sorrow is not a burden held by me, but a current flowing through the river of all things. Consider the woman at the graveside weeping for her child. Her tears are not solely her own. They are the tears of all mothers who have lost, the tears of the earth holding its breath, the tears of the universe itself, feeling the sharp edge of loss. The weight of grief does not vanish, but its quality changes. It no longer feels like a heavy stone pressing down on a separate eye. Instead, it feels like a soft rain falling on the entire landscape, washing away the illusion of separation. The sorrow becomes light, not because it is small, but because it is no longer held by a self that feels separate. It becomes a shared breath, a natural release within the larger flow. Reflect on this. How does sorrow lose its crushing weight when seen not as a personal burden, but as the universe releasing its own pain? How does the heart open wider when the tears are felt as the earth's own tenderness, not just one person's private ache? This is not about suppressing tears or denying pain. It is about resting in the understanding that pain, like joy, is not owned. It is the universe expressing itself through the form of this moment. So when tears come, do not ask, "Why am I crying?" Instead, feel the body's natural release. Let the tears flow without the thought, "I am sad." Feel the release as the universe breathing through you, as the sky clearing after rain. The sorrow is not a separate thing to be fixed. It is simply the current moving through the stream. There is no me holding the sorrow, only the sorrow moving through the space of being. This is the practice. Cry without the I, and feel the release as the universe, not as a personal event, but as the natural unfolding of unity. The tears are not proof of separation. They are proof of connection, flowing from the same source as the gentle smile. Feel the breath rise and fall. Feel the tears trace their path. There is no one crying and no one weeping. Only the release, the flow, the deep quiet, knowing that all sorrow is held within the vast, tender embrace of the whole. This complete embodiment is the natural state of being. Feel the quiet hum of being as you breathe in and out. This moment, this simple awareness, is not separate from the vastness surrounding you. It is the universe experiencing itself through the openness of your presence. Living is not you living a separate life. It is the universe living through you, expressing itself in every gesture, every thought, every breath. The water flows through the river. The tree grows towards the sun. The sun shines without needing to be known. This is the seamless flow, the natural state of unity already here, always present. Consider the simple act of washing dishes. Your hands move with the water, the soap, the soft sound of porcelain. In the ordinary rhythm, you might notice a flicker of separation. I'm washing these dishes. But what if you soften that boundary? What if you feel the water itself flowing through your hands? The clean surfaces reflecting the light. The simple act of cleaning arising not from a separate me, but from the inherent nature of care within the whole. The universe is washing the dishes through you. The water is the universe's gentle touch. The clean bowl is the universe's quiet satisfaction. This is not a special achievement. It is the natural unfolding of unity in the ordinary. Reflect on your own day. How might seeing life as this seamless unity change your choices? When you choose patience with a colleague, is it still a personal effort to be kind, or is it the universe's compassion flowing through you? When you choose to pause and truly listen, is it a separate action, or is it the universe receiving and holding space? When you choose to step outside your own concerns for a moment, is it a sacrifice? Or is it the universe recognizing its own wholeness in another? This shift isn't about changing who you are. It's about seeing the truth of who you always are. The choices that arise from this awareness are effortless, natural, and deeply connected, like a leaf falling gently to the earth. Practice this now as you move through your day. Feel the ground beneath your feet, not as your feet touching your earth, but as the universe feeling itself through your connection to the ground. Feel your breath, not as my breath, but as the universe breathing itself through this moment. When you speak, feel the words arising not from a separate self, but from the shared space of connection between you and the listener. When you reach for a cup of tea, feel the universe reaching for itself through your hand. There is no separation between the cup, the tea, your hand, and the space around you. It is all one seamless movement of being, a single expression of the whole. This is not something you must hold on to. It is simply what is, when the illusion of separation dissolves. This is the natural state of non-duality, always present. It is not a destination reached after years of practice, but the very ground of your being, the space within which all practice and all life unfolds. It is the quiet hum beneath the noise, the stillness beneath the movement, the unity that has never been broken. This seamless flow is not something you create. It is the recognition of what has always been. It is the universe living, breathing, and moving through you right now in this very breath.